This is actually a somewhat simple process to make a Rasp Cobra, because mainly the hard work is done because the file does a lot of work for you. Now you can't really mess this up on which end you start from, but if you want more of an actual traditional snake, you really want to start with this being the head, the tail of the rasp. You can do it from this side, but the scales will be kind of reversed, but it still looks cool either way. So don't feel like you have to do it one way or another. You can make this the tail or the head. I like the head, this being the head. Because if you can pull it off, you can also use the tail right here as the tongue. That one doesn't have a tongue because it got burned off, because this is a very thin piece and it happens. So I'm gonna try to attempt to keep the tongue on it today. If not, it is what it is. So we're gonna start with the head first. Any questions you want, feel free to ask them. Don't be shy. Right. But there are wrong answers. Now we're going to forge weld the head back on itself. Now you do not have to actually forge weld it, because it's not really a structural thing, but it is good practice to do so. What we're going to do is we're actually going to take this piece right here and basically divide it in half and fold it right back on itself and forge weld it back on itself. And then the tongue, if it stays attached, will be laying on the belly of the snake. If you had never forge welded before, again, it's not a structural critical thing, so you can just fold it back on itself and hammer it out. Now what I'm going to do is it's going to vary from if you're doing this in a coke forge, coal forge to a gas forge. I'm going to put this tip at the very back of the fire pot. That way it has less heat it's getting on top of. That way we'll focus more of the heat right here versus on the tip, because if I had this dead center, it's going to heat this tip up because it's a lot smaller mass. It's going to heat up faster. Now we've got this hot. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, get some of this forge scale off. Get some flux. You can use borax, some Mule Team borax. Right here I'm using Iron Mountain. And all I want to do is just kind of coat it a little bit. Just keep it from oxidizing anymore. We'll stick it back in the fire. Then we're going to do our bend. Again, we're just folding it back on itself. And the reason we flux is because scale builds up. Yes, grab a chair if y'all want chairs. You don't have to stand for the whole thing. The reason we flux, because it's an oxidizer. It keeps everything from getting oxidized and getting scale built up. Scale will actually prevent forge welds. So we'll use that to keep it from doing that. So now I'm just going to do half of that material. We're going to do some repeating blows, just going back and forth, just trying to get that to fold over. Now we got somewhat of a bend going of what we need. Go back in the fire, put the tongue up. Again, we're trying to keep this keep the tail up. We're trying to keep it from getting burnt off.
Now, if you had the option of a sharper edge tool, would you prefer that over using a rounded edge?
Yeah, I'm probably going to switch over to here just because it's a nice, sharp, crisp edge. Because this is just really round. It's going to be a little awkward, but considering how tall I am, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Same process as before. Yeah, that's the thing. Try to get everything lined up, because once you close it, it's going to be pretty tight. It's going to reflux. Just put a little in there, it doesn't take much. Now, we're going to put it in just like this. That way, with a small, tiny portion of metal is facing straight up, not being in contact with the flame. Now we're going to take this up to a pretty bright, almost forge welding heat, just kind of get closed up a little bit. I'll probably go ahead and take it all the way to the forge welding heat, to be honest with you. And just a warning, there will be sparks. Not a lot, but there will be some, so don't, just a little pre-warning there. When you're doing a forge weld, you want to just tap it. I know you see it in the shows and the movies and all that, where when you go to forge weld that sparks, you just get one big massive hit. You really don't want that, because the surface of the metal is molting. It's really liquidy. So that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to get that liquid metal to bond to each other. You just want, whenever you get it to set a forge weld, you just want just light taps, because you're trying to get all those gaps in the metal to move close together and get a nice good bond. Because if you just whack it one good time, all that molten metal is just going to spew out, and you're not going to have you're going to have a lot harder time forge welding.
Does the texture on the file make it more difficult to get your weld?
No, because I'm welding this smooth part right here. But if I was trying to weld the rest of this, it wouldn't hurt to take it to like a sand grinder or a wheel or something like that, just to smooth some of the teeth out. We're not at a forge welding heat, but I'm going to go ahead and just close it up a little bit more. You want it to be a bright yellow. I'm just trying to get these gaps, and it makes it a little bit easier in the long run. This is a high carbon steel, so it'll be a lot easier to forge weld it. Again, this is not a structural piece where you have to get it welded. It just helps. Makes it look a little better too. It has less gaps in there. If you want to, you can pass the Cobra around if y'all want to look at it. Mr. Sandy. There we go. That's a nice color. You want a nice bright color, bright yellow, and you want, if you can get close enough where it's just starting to sparkle. Right about there, see how the spark is kicking off? Again, we just want to set it up a little bit. I like at least 3 forge welds, just because safety in numbers. 1 is none, 2 is 1. If I go with 3, that way at least I have 1. There's a little of that sparkle right there I was telling you about. All right. I normally go with 3, but we're going to go with 2 today. Because again, this isn't structural. It's not that important. All right, now we're going to work on the head. To work on the head, we're going to just draw this inward a little bit. Now, when you're doing something like this, you normally want to work it all 4 sides to keep it from fish lipping. Whenever you start working material, if you work just 2 sides of it, the steel is going to eventually start poking out. But if you work all four sides, you have less of a fish lip effect. We're actually going to want the fish lip effect. Reason being, it kind of helps with the fangs. As if you can see his fangs right there, they kind of are a lot big and pouty. We're actually going to use the fish lip effect to our advantage this time versus disadvantage. You'll see as I'm starting whacking the steel, how it starts forming the fangs, and we'll define the fangs later. Get this off. I don't like gloves. I only use gloves when I'm setting forge welds because it's so hot, and I'm sitting there just tapping, and I'm that close to the steel versus kind of somewhat back here, just whacking it one good time. I tried when I first got started blacksmithing. I wore gloves all the time, and I just got to the point where now I just don't like them. I lose a lot of the feeling. I don't knock people for wearing gloves. I don't care if you wear gloves or not. It's a personal thing. Now, what we're going to do is this. You see this back part? We're going to put that right where the anvil is. And start whacking it, and fold it back over. Put it right there at the end. And we're going to just a little bit of light taps. We're just trying. You already see those fish lips, how it's starting to bow up right now. That's what we want. Again, if you wanted to get it all set up, you can work both sides and you'll have that effect less. But since it's so wide, we're only going to be working both sides mainly. We're only going to address the tops here when it starts getting, you start seeing that right there kind of come up on the sides. This part kind of goes fast. I was just kind of explain that so you can see what's happening because you can't see from my point of view. But that's what's going to start happening. I'm going to work from side to side, tap, tap, tap the flats, and it's eventually just going to draw its head forward. Again, questions, I'll take them. No wrong questions. Except tab, don't ask any questions. I'm using the round of my hammer because it's more surface contact. Now the flat to get some of those pouts out. Back to the round. Swap back over. Back to the flats. Put it right back over. We're trying to get that back lined up. Flip back over. Back with flats, just turn it up. Now this point, this is all up to you. This is how you want your snake to look. Do you want your snake to have a big fat head, a small head? Because this again is the head portion of it. I'm going to bring it down a little bit more, then I'm going to start bringing out the definition of the head. Come over to the horn of the anvil, so that way I get more smoother transition, because right now if I keep working that one side where the anvil is at, I'm going to have a really sharp transition, and I don't want a sharp one. I want it to look nice and smooth and symmetrical. And this is actually a really bad horn. It's got a flat spot in it. All right. What we're trying to look for right now is actually a smooth transition between the head and the flaring. I don't know what on a snake it's called. So I'm going to work on this a little bit. Just to get that more smoothed out. Now, I'm going to work on the tongue. I'm going to take the tongue, clean it up, fold it back on itself, and not really forge weld it, but just kind of get it there and blend it in. sticking the tongue straight up out of direct contact with the fire. This is a damaged chisel. It's a really sharp one, but it's nice to get in under there and prying up stuff. Clean that up a little bit. Throw a little bit of flux on there. Just keep it from oxidizing as quickly. Take our chisel here. And right here you can really see how that forge weld's stuck. Because right now all I'm doing is prying up on it and it's not even trying to come off from it. Stick it back in the fire. Because even though you have a good forge weld, you can shear it if you keep prying on it unnecessarily. And if I can get that still hotter and then move it easier, it's a win-win in my book. Questions? Yes, I know I look like an idiot, Tab. It's in the eyes. Alright, we're going to just come over here, put this across the anvil, and use it to our advantage. Bend it upwards, like so. Kind of correct that. Try to get it centered up as best as you can. There we go. I just realized something. I probably should have defined that a little bit more. Yeah, I messed up. I'm going to re-bend this back because I didn't define the fangs or anything. And this will be almost impossible to do that, so I'm going to undo what I just did. At least I learned it.
That's why you did that.
Yeah. I realized as soon as I saw it. It's almost going to be impossible to work the fangs now, just like that. Again, this is only the third one I've ever made.
Hey, what's good? What's Jim say? You always learn to screw with.
You're right. And don't ever be discouraged by a screw up. Just because you're like, oh, so-and-so did it perfect. I'm going to guarantee you that person screwed it up several times before you saw. Here, we normally rarely practice what we come in here to do. We kind of come in here and do it. And the benefit of that is you get to see us mess up and realize we are human. And hey, it can be fixed. Because not everybody's going to do this and actually get it right the first time.
You might mess it up.
Yeah, and it's good. It's sometimes good to know how to fix a mess up. Again, this really wasn't a huge mess up. He only lost like a step. So.
I promise you, go to any blacksmith shop, they're gonna have a bucket full of mess up.
A bucket? Quit bragging.
Experience, there you go.
Just a bucket?
Huh?
Just a bucket?
Well, I need to empty my bucket,
All right.
or have kids and your kids like play with the mess up.
Now we're going to work on the fangs. Now what we're basically going to do, since we got the fish lips on there, we're going to just take any kind of sharp chisel here and we're going to directly go down and start going down and cutting in the fangs. Then once you get the fangs in there deep enough as you want, because remember, these fangs are going to fold over, so you might want a little longer than you think. That's hot. FYI, that is forge welding temperatures right there.
That's extremely hot.
Yes. Now.
Don't lose your chisel.
Come up here with your chisel. It's probably going to bend because like a lot of this is hot, but it's okay. The big mess up here is I got too much of it hot. All right, go ahead. And you really just need the very tip of it hot. So I'm gonna let it cool, air cool, and try to get just this portion here hot. That way it's not bending as much. Grab a chair, don't be shy. Donuts over there on the table. That's better. Just want to come in here. That should be good enough. I may have to come back here after I draw the things out for it. Now, one side is longer than the other. Worst case scenario, I may have to go out there and cut it off or grind that off to even it up. So now we're going to draw these things out. How we're going to do that, we're just going to put it right over the edge of the anvil and start working it, kind of like drawing out a tip. How you want to do it is come in one way, hit, lay it flat, change the angle of the hammer just slightly, hit, because what you're going to be doing every time you put a hit in, you're going to put a ledge right here. What you're doing is you're just working that ledge, that point back. Every time you hit, you make an indentation in the metal. Then you have this piece right here, you want to hit that. Then you have another piece up here, and you're just constantly trying to work that tip down.
I'm a question.
Go for it.
You ever slip and burn yourself when you're working with the chisel?
Yes, I have.
It's very miserable.
Makes a real funny noise when it does.
I guarantee you, if you look at anybody that works with metal in here, they burnt themselves. Sometimes really, really bad, sometimes not so bad.
You look around, most of them try to pull down the
It's called oil. It's not oil.
iron
Pine tar. Thank you.
Now, I'm gonna go ahead and give a prerequisite. If you're working with a knife and it's sharp, tape it up. That's all I'm gonna say. Especially if you're drilling pinholes and stuff, clamp it up, wrap it with tape. Really don't want to sharpen a knife till you're actually done. Just saying, not calling anybody out.
Sure.
Not naming any names. Yeah, he got the scar to prove it. Try to kill himself.
And make sure you're wearing cloth clothing.
Natural fiber.
Natural, yeah, there you go. There. Make sure you got good belts on the
Ask me
grinder.
how I know.
Again, I guarantee you, we joke, but we're actually trying to teach you to learn from our mistakes. As I guarantee you, a lot of people in here have done that, me included. Yeah, now I gotta go back in. I somewhat thinned it out, I need to get this fang
Chainsaw.
a little more defined because it's done closed up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and draw it out because I feel like I need to just go ahead and cut it when it's more thinner. Easier on myself.
Kirk's making fun of me because I was working on a knife. I had it in a clamp and was drilling holes in it, and it broke loose from my clamp and came around and slashed me a good one. And this is before I sharpened it.
I bet it was no fun.
But
I
if
don't think you can find that one. I don't think you can find that one yesterday.
Several hours.
Did you?
I had a grinder belt that snapped while I was working on this, and grabbed the knife and flung it into oblivion. Didn't find it for hours.
NASA found it for him.
Where was it? ISS.
Behind my grinder. I thought it was the other one.
Probably made it a throwing
You should have gotten it on the video.
They threatened to put a GoPro on it.
GoPro Joe.
Joe put the crew up. You got to put it
Every time my shop at my board, my wife pulls up my security camera to see what I did. And
Oh, that's a YouTube channel.
yeah, exactly.
That's a YouTube channel. Wait a minute.
I'm like, don't get there for security.
Dun,
Oh, I
dun,
want
dun,
to-
dun, 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 dun,
I just come inside bleeding going, hey, hell.
All right, now we got these little thinned out a little bit better. Try to find dead center here. Dead center, dead center, dead center. Do it one more time and she should be good. Knock this lip it did down. I'm gonna do this one more time just to get it a little more nicer. We're gonna move on. The head is actually the longest portion of this because it has the most detail in it. That's what we're making.
He does bite.
All right, now we got the tips heated up a little more. We're going to go back in, same thing. Now, when you're doing stuff like this, you kind of want to hit, pull away, hit, pull away. And what that does, it kind of helps you line back up. Because if you just sit there and dedicate, just keep whacking away, A, it's going to heat your chisel tip up, and it's going to soften the tip up. Versus pulling it away will kind of help keep it cool and not ruin the temper. It also gives you a chance to reline back up in case you're going off a little bit. All right, that should be good enough for some fangs. You can at this point you can keep going, try to get them really sharp. We're just wanting that for a little bit of decoration, just kind of define the snake head. So now we're gonna go to the eyes. Now this is probably the only really special tool I'm gonna use today, and this is just a eye punch. You can pass this around. This is an eye punch. we're gonna set his eye in the other side. Look at the one towards you. Yeah, that one.
Is that Mark's?
Yeah, no, that's mine. I made it in Mark's class. It's just a simple eye punch. You can pass it down if you want to. They all come in different sizes. If you're doing small bottle head, horse eyes, any old man, wizard eyes. There's probably a wizard up there. Yeah, right there, right above Mr. Sandy's head. Right there. You can use the eye punch for anything, any other different versions. Today we're going to use it for the snake eyes. Now what we're going to use is this little ledge right here in the anvil.
When you make your eyeball to it, how'd you get the pupil in?
All right, basically when you do making an eye punch like this, you 6 sides. You basically make a diamond. Then you flatten the diamond out on the diamond and draw it out. Then you grind it flat. Get it nice and flat like this. Then you want to come in with a round, just a round stock with a little bit of a curve in it.
Ball in punch. Ball in punch.
Ball end punch. You can make it out of any size. This is basically whatever size you want. You can make a giant eye punch or a small eye punch. And you're going to heat it up, put it in your vise, and you're going to sit there and you're going to whack, pull it away, whack, pull it away. And constantly just sit there until you get that indentation right here, until it's all defined. After you get it, the indentation into the tool, it's going to be a little mangled, so you go back to the grinder and just touch it up just a little bit. And that's how you get the eye punch. They're real simple to make. If you want to, you can just take some round metal like this and grind this shape in there. You don't have to forge it. I don't think you have to forge it like this. Then just basically take your ball end punch of any size you want, and just, like I said, put it in there, take your little, whatever metal you have, whack, whack, try to get it center as possible, then just clean it up on the grinder. Real simple.
Or use a drill bit, like I did.
Or a drill bit. That takes the fun out of it though. Alright, back to this.
The snake.
Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to set it in this little channel right here. Like this. And you're going to want to kind of hit it at this ridge here. The more you get it on this ridge, the more it kind of just looks like a snake eye to me. Now this, I found better just to commit. Really don't want to pull it away, because if you do, it just kind of looks a little weird to me. But if you just sit there and whack it and commit to it, now we're going to make the snake eye look a little more defined on both sides. We're going to put it in on the other side. Keep me from walking around and blocking the view of y'all on the camera. Now you have to be careful with eyeball punches in general because there's not a lot of surface contact there. So it doesn't take a lot of force. Don't think you got a weld on it to get a good defined eye. Try to line this one up, make sure so it doesn't look a little off. Now once you get that in there, you can kind of gauge where it's at and feel it out. I normally try to get it established before I pull a chisel away. That way I don't lose the eye. But once you get it in there, it's almost pretty easy to find it. And I got my little eyes a little wonky, but it's okay. I know. But that one eye is lower than the other one. But hey, we'll make it work. If you want a perfection, you'd have Tab up here doing this, not me.
Always remember, Jim, if you want it perfect,
Make it perfect. Rule 5. Rule 3. Rule 1. Why, you don't want to fill out the forms?
There's no rule 6.
Yeah, there is. Goes all the way up to 8 or 9, I think.
It's all the way up to 12.
Shows what I know.
Rule 6 is anything you go to the shop starts with, hey, watch this, don't do it.
Ugh, I'm not proud of that. I'm going to try to fix this, but I got to feel I'm going to mess up anymore. But hey, say la vie. But yeah, I'm going to leave it as is. Alright. The eyes are in there now. What we're going to do is actually going to make the head less square. We're going to come in here to the head. Head right now is square, so we're going to take this edge out right here and bring it in to make it more of a 6 sides in a way. Not 6. Yeah, 6. Now we're going to do that, take the flat of our hammer here, and we're going to take the round part. We're going to go in here and get this top ridge right here, just kind of mellow it out. Now we're going to take the fangs and we're going to bend them over, take to the edge of the anvil. I really don't like that, how not sharp that is. We're going to come in here with the round side again. And we're going to bring that definition down some. Yeah. Here's what it is. Now we're going to do the tongue, then we're going to move on to the flare. Hey, Lon, where's Jamie at? Jamie?
I don't know where Jamie is.
It's just gonna be easier to use the. And it's probably not even hot enough, but we won't work with it. Now there's different things you can do with the tongue. You can make it more sharp or more pointer. You can split it like an actual traditional snake's tongue. If you want to do that all beforehand, I'm just going to roll with how it is. Right now I'm trying to get it mated with the fangs to make it more uniform. Yep, I'm gonna throw it back in there and get it hot. Blend that tongue in with the head a little bit better. just taking those corners of that tongue and bringing it down. We're gonna go ahead and split the tongue. Don't need a lot of heat.
Need baby heat.
I can hold it. I think I got it.
You want me to come hold that right there?
Yeah, tap it. Come on here. Lay it on the cutting. That.
Losing tones.
Why are you losing my tongue?
You put it in there right.
Eh, it'll be alright. C'est la vie.
Look at it from the other side.
Nah, I don't leave it like that. I kind of like that. We'll back up. We're gonna work on the
More heat. More heat.
more heat. All right, spread the.
How long?
No, spread the Cobra's
Hood.
hood out. Thank you. That sounds better than anything I've been trying to say.
Tail.
Spread his hood out. We're going to use a cross peen. Whenever you're using a cross peen, whatever way it comes in and cuts, that's the way it's going to spread. So if I want to spread the hood out, I need to bring it on the sides and hit it straight on. That way I spread it that way. If I do it this way on the rasp, it's going to push the rasp that way. And it's going to make it longer. I want to make it wider, so I come in straight like this, or horizontally, and it's going to spread it out this way. Whenever you're working metal, it's good to know how it's going to move. You want to move it to your advantage. It's like making a knife blade. If you want to make a knife blade, you want to make a wider knife, you come in and you spread it this way. If you keep just hammering it with a regular hammer, it's going to disperse all the way evenly. So if you want to make material work the way you want, whether it's a snake, a knife, or whatever, this, hitting it just square, is just going to spread it all the way around. This way is going to make it spread this way. So if you want your knife longer or your knife wider, that's how you would do it. And I'm going to put him over here. And I'm really only going to work the width of my hammer. I don't want to go all the way down. And I'm only going to work his belly side. Reason being is I want to keep the top side nice and flat because you're really not going to see the belly. But I can clean the belly up. There's no water.
whiskey, Clyde?
It's clear, I can tell you that. This is Coke. I actually prefer using Coke. Coke is basically refined coal. I like Coke because mainly, or a Coke coal or Coke forge, I mainly like using it because you can really define your heat. To me, a coal forge is very, very versatile. Now I'm going to use the round side to smooth it all out. With a gas forge, it's almost harder to do everything you want. Now, granted, with a Coke forge, you need to know a little more about it. It's not just putting it in there and the whole thing heats up. The benefits of the gas forge are two things. It always is the same heat as you left it. And it also heats up everything though. So if you need to work on a long piece, you can. But to be fair, you really don't work a lot of piece. We're mainly working about 3 inches at a time. Then we're heating back up and working 3 inches at a time. The only time that really benefits heating the whole thing up is if you're putting a long twist in something, where you're trying to quench a blade or a piece of material, and you need the whole thing. But with a Coke forge, once you learn how to use it, you can heat up a piece of steel about this much at a time. I can do about 99% of the work I need to do in a Coke forge, even if it's Damascus, a knife, chisels, punches, ornamental, anything. If I only have one forge, it'd be a Coke forge. Now, some people want to argue saying this is not really user-friendly. And in a way it's not, but the only way it's not user-friendly is you can burn stuff in a Coke forge.
Real quick.
And but to be fair, if you're starting off learning something, you're not going to be doing big projects anyway. You're doing something small. And you'll learn through those small projects what's going to happen, how small this material is, how long it's going to heat up if it's thicker. And it's a learning curve, yes, but once you learn it, it's nothing. Versus a gas forge, you're limited by the size of the forge, how big it is, and what materials you put in there. But at the same time, it heats everything up. So you're working over something hot the whole time. Now, I love my gas forge. I still use it. But it's only when I need to heat up a long piece of steel. When I mean a long piece of steel, I mean a long piece of steel. Not really, it kind of can, but it's not.
It's such a minuscule thing, you don't even factor it in.
He just said it made better quality steel. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that.
All right, where this comes from is crucibles. Back in the old days when they had to make their own steel versus what we have now today, that's how they put steel. They put carbon in the steel back then. They used crucibles, and that's back when you can get the metal molten. Molten steel takes carbon a lot better than hard steel. Are you putting carbon in steel? Yes, you are. I'm not going to dispute that. Is it enough to justify it?
So.
Now we got our neck a little flared out. Now we're going to work on the tail. Then we're going to coil it up, or round it up, and we're going to coil him up. And we do sell Coke here at MFC. We have a bunch of it out back, but we only sell it to members. So if anybody needs Coke or coal, you can buy it from us. We just got a fresh shipment in, along 2 weeks ago, a month ago. To me, it's easier to forge weld in a coal forge than it is a gas forge. Reason being, a lot of us use Centaur forge, coke forge, coal forges. I think about at least half of us have one. I think Shane's got one. I got one. Palmer's got one. Centaur forge.
What?
Centaur.
Yeah, Centaur.
A bunch of us have Centaur. They're for the price. You can't beat it. You can't even. I don't think you can build them for as cheap
I
as.
got Farrier forge.
Huh?
Farrier forge. Because you made my firebox.
Okay. I thought you went Centaur, but okay, never mind.
No, Palmer's is a Centaur, I guess. I mean, but it's a fantastic firebox. It's I want to say shipped to me or $500, but it's pretty. And it's I got what plate steel it is. I mean, it's a good.
It doesn't come with a blower. You still have to buy a blower, but blowers will cost you.
Yeah, the one I got from Granger was $98, and I got pictures of flames coming out of mine this high. So I mean it.
But with the gas forges, it is such to get it to forge welding heat. It's where at sea level are you? Or is your gas turned up high? Are you over a direct flame? Did you put your left shoe on that morning? There's a lot of variables. Once you learn how to set up a gas forge, yeah, they're easy. You can do it, set it up, say, all right, you're needing this, you're needing that, or you need more air, you need less this. But there's a lot more variables with a gas forge than there is a coke forge. Coke forge, as long as you got good thick steel, a good coke, and a good air source, you're good.
What's cheaper, gas or the coke?
I mean, it's about the same.
About the same.
Yeah.
I will say it is easier to get propane than it is coke. We actually buy from Alabama. We normally buy a bunch of it and we sell it to the members here and all. But as far as for the average person, it is easier to get gas, propane, because you can go to Tractor Supply, get you the 100-pounders, and they'll fill it up by the gallon, I think, or by the pound or something. Or you can go to Walmart and change out the little 5-gallon ones if you want. Yes, it is. I kind of lean towards coke is a little more cheaper. And the only reason I say that is because right now I'm not really burning anything. It's at rest. Now granted, when I turn it on, it's going to start burning again, but I feel like if you once you get playing with it and you just need a little spurt, because you see how quick it heats up. I feel like a gas forge takes a little bit longer to heat up.
The coke has quite a bit more BTUs in it than gas.
If you have a ribbon burner, it's close. It'll get as close to heating this up, but most coal forges I've ever seen will burn steel. Very few gas forges I've seen will burn steel. They can. Don't get me wrong. A gas forge can burn steel. I got one. Lon's got one.
I have gas.
All right. Now we're gonna put a point on this. You're gonna use the flat of the hammer. We'll come over here. Flip. Straighten it out. Come back over here. We got some more point going on. Now we're going to sit back in. When you're swinging your hammer, try to pay attention to your form, especially when you're learning and practicing. You don't want to just use your elbow. You will wear your arm out. You will feel it in the morning if you just sit here and do this right here. What you want to do is use your wrist, your elbow, your fingers, your whole body to come down in unison. That way you're using your body more efficiently. Because if you sit there and you just use your elbow, it'll wear you out faster. Especially when you're trying to use power, trying to get a lot of work done quickly. Now, if you're trying to be more efficient and do small stuff, yes, you probably just want to use your elbow. But even then, you still try and want to use that shoulder if you can. I can dispute other things. Some people want to work here outside. Some people say it's more efficient to be right next to the anvil like this right here. I find it better to be right at the horn. It's just a personal preference thing. I got yelled at by Palmer because I wasn't doing that. And ever since I got yelled at, I stopped doing that. I started doing his way. And that right there is when I say a Coke forge will get hotter because it's sparking right now. If I left it in there anymore, it would have been disintegrated.
And be gone, and be done.
Now, we're going to take this to a little more tip. Then we're going to start cooling it, or rounding it, not cooling it. Right, Tab? Is that right, next step?
Yes.
What step are we on?
Tail. Step where you don't turn into a sparkler.
Alright, now I'm going to use the flat side of my hammer, and I'm going to come back through here and try to get everything nice and smooth. Go to the other side, use the flat of the anvil to kind of help us out here. Come out to the end here. Put the point of the metal on the end. Start drawing it somewhat a little more pointy. Go to the end right here. And yes, I'm contradicting myself by standing straight out here, but I want everybody to see. And if I sit here and do this, these people can't see what I'm doing. So I'm trying to make it more uniform. All right, now that we have the head, the tail, all done, now we're gonna start wrapping it up. We're probably gonna start at the tail. Again, we really can only work so much at the steel at the one time. Now, there's a bunch of different ways to do this. I'm trying to keep this as tool-less as possible. The best thing to use would probably be a swage block because it has nice curves in it to help us get the steel started. You also can use the edge of the anvil right here and whack into it straight like this, and they'll start turning that flat steel curve. Or, if you want, you can get you a 4x4 block, a wood block, and cut you a nice chamfer in there. You see this has been burnt several times. I also will use spoons in this and leaves. This is a really cheap alternative.
Don't use treated wood.
Why not?
You'll have conversations with your shoes that you'll lose.
All right. We also have a stump right there where you see it's been used several times to make stuff. Wood blocks are good, cheap swage blocks. They're not permanent. You do have to replace them, but be fair, this wood block is probably 3 to 4 years old. And I'll probably get another year or two out of it, and then it'll eventually just split. Also depends on how much you use this. Now we're going to go back to our cross peen. You can use that. Just put it at an angle and you drive it in. But I have the hammer, so I'm going to use this hammer. See, that's a sparkle right there. Now, how you can prevent this is take your wire brush when it's sparkling and remove some of that burnt steel off, like so. Now, there is a few divots in there, but it'll be fine. Now, we're going to put this in here and start hammering it, and it's going to try to follow that curve. And yes, it's burning the wood, but it's to be okay. And there, it'll start slowly, start cupping it. I kind of wasted the heat a little bit, but it's fine. I'd rather you know what I'm doing versus me just doing it. or know why I'm doing it. If you want to, again, you can take it to this corner right here and smash into it. But because of this hard metal edges, sometimes it'll leave marks in your steel versus a wood block is more friendlier. Now what I'm doing is I'm slowly working up the snake. I'm not trying to do one piece at a time. I'm not trying to get that one section all the way closed. I'm trying to work it up. It actually is a lot easier to work your way up and slowly start curling it versus trying to do one section all the way. You can kind of see it down it. It's starting to curve. I'm going to put it back in there and I'm going to straighten it out. And we're going to just keep repeating this process. Now at my home, my post vise will actually hold this where it won't slip. I got a feeling this one's going to be too tall. So I think this will open up enough for that. Straighten this out. I'm using a wooden mallet to keep from actually putting marks in the steel. Now I can move the steel in any direction I want, but it won't put marks in it. And that will come into play later when I start coiling the snake. Because when I start coiling the snake, I don't want to put flat spots or collapse the snake's body. And all we're trying to do is try and get at least half round, then we can do the rest by a hammer. Now we're going to start working our way back down the snake. Now that I've done the first pass, this won't actually start taking that set a lot better. Now we're starting to get that curve in there. A harder wood probably work better, but it's just cheaper for me to get pine. If you had access to harder wood, yes, it would be better.
I got stuff that I use.
I got OC Gordon.
Go for it.
Yeah. He used to have a sawmill, so I have access to wood.
Osage would probably be more ideal, but it doesn't take much to get the original form in there, because over time it's just going to conform to whatever you start use it for. Like this starts burning down because I'm literally removing wood as I'm hitting it.
I was putting the carbon on there. And they called me up. They're like, "We need 12 handles in the next hour."
You ever have any hiccups before? Love to have some.
All right, now we're gonna go actually to start cooling this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put that kind of at a D and slightly bring it over.
Actually, I prefer H.
Again, we're not trying to work a lot. We're trying to, once you make a mark, see where you made that mark, then just go slightly past it. Don't get in a hurry, don't get in a rush. And like that, it'll start cooling up. Now, we want to, as we hit, we want to follow that next hit by ourselves, one after another, because that slowly starts forming up. We're not trying to get one whole piece coiled up all the way. We're trying to work it down evenly. See where we last hit? Bring it down. Go to the other side. See where you last hit? Because it leaves marks in the steel. You can see it. Straighten that out.
That's north.
Cold gives y'all that yellow smoke.
Yeah.
It's sticky. Coke doesn't do that.
Okay. Farrier service side. So they sell shoes, side. And like $800.
Yeah, the job's changed.
I'm basically doing right now is just kind of straighten the coils out because it's starting to bend on me. Now, as far as making it round, this is up to you. You can go completely round. You kind of can just get that basic round shape. Where's a demo at?
We need,
The snake?
out there. Nope, he has it.
When it comes to this, as you can see, the base is actually kind of closed up really nice and tight. The top is kind of opened up. You can have the whole thing open like this. You can have it completely closed up. It's up to you on how you want to do the coils. Now I do a little thing here at the end. I'll show you to get it kind of an oval shape, kind of like an actual snake, kind of fat body.
Yeah.
Just kind of eyeball it. Using the round part of my hammer. Trying to get everything nice and even now. Go to the horn to get that up there by the hood. Wherever you see a gap or uneven piece, you want to just kind of hammer it flat, flush the other pieces. That was good. Now I'm going to finish up on the tail. Now, the tail is kind of a tricky piece because it's almost impossible to get it to blend really evenly. But I find just to make the tail solid and round is the best way to go about it. Coil it up, try to get that tail somewhat curled up as much as you can, but at the end of the day, you're just gonna make it round. Forge it, because that square piece down there at the tip, you just wanna go ahead and start just transition it, blend it with the rest of it. And I'm going to try to close it up, but not going to worry about if I can't. Get those high spots down. Using the round part of the hammer to draw it somewhat down. Now, you can kind of see basically this portion here. I'm just going to make it round. I'm going to take this rectangle piece and make it round and just blend it from here and make it smooth transition as possible. It's almost be impossible to get unless you just want to thin it out that much where it will curl. Because you're really not going to see the bottom portion of the snake right there unless you just flip it over. The only part of the bottom of your snake you're going to see is what's sticking up, if you want it to stick up at all. If you want it to be at a nice flat position, like a snake on the ground, you can do that. Today we're going to do the standing cobra or the striking cobra. So now, today on Blacksmithing 101, how do you make something round, Tab?
Make it square.
What?
Square and octagonal, 16, 32, 64.
Kind of weird, ain't it? Why would you make something square to make it round?
It's more fun that way. It's square to round.
Blacksmithing is basic shapes. Now this was a rectangle, so I'm gonna bring it down to a square, then I'm gonna take it to an octagon, but when you go for the octagon, you want 8 even sides. The reason you want 8 even sides is because you want a nice round circle. And how you do that is when you're hitting it, you want 4 equal sides first, and you want 8 equal sides. Then those high spots between the octagon, you want just 8 sides, and you go to 16 sides. Then you go round. I'll show you here. It's easier to. I'm sorry for losing my voice. All right. Try to blend this good as we can. That's about as good as I'm gonna get. Now we go to 4 equal sides. I'm gonna flip it over, kind of look at it. Use the flat here. Starting to twist on me, but it's all right. And I'm constantly flipping my work at least one way. It doesn't matter if you go clockwise or counterclockwise. It really doesn't matter. Now I'm working it, and I'm trying to get 4 equal sides. That it's got high spots in there, but once I go to the 8, it'll be fine.
It's coming as a tail.
Yeah. Now we're going to go 8. What we're going to do is we're going to put it on that square, and that's on the diamond. Take it to the diamond. Go to the other diamond. And to the other one. And to the last one. I'm being real careful about how I position. I want to make sure I'm actually on the diamond. I don't want to be a little off. I want to try to get straight as possible to get my 8 sides. Now I'm going to look at it. Is that 8 equal sides? No, it is not. So now I'm going to go back through the 8 sides, look at it, be careful with my hammer blows, try to get it to 8 equal sides. That's pretty good there. Now I'm starting to get a little cold, but I'm basically planishing this somewhat flat. And it needs a little more refining, but we're getting closer to round. Whenever you're trying to draw something down to round, you always go 4, 8, 16, then round. Now, if you're just wanting round, you can always go round. But that's normally the paradox you deal with. All right, go to the flat side. I'm just looking at it, looking for high spots, uneven. There we go. That's 8 sides. Now we're gonna go around. Now, can you hypothetically just keep twisting your bar around and hitting it and hitting it and hitting it and go around? Yes. But it's actually harder to do that versus just 4, 8, 16 and round. Because you're working the whole thing you want round evenly versus you sitting there just turning it and trying to keep the hammer blow straight to get it round. Now we're going to go to 16. It gets a little hard here to see this, but once you see it, it's a little easier. Now because these are such small lines, it doesn't take much to get to go. Now we go around. You want a sharp ponytail? Make a sharp ponytail. You want a blunt tail? Make it blunt. Now I'm only doing half turns because the anvil is doing the other work I want. Needs a little more refining.
Like that heat?
Nope. I've been told I like the steel a little too hot, but I'm used to it. Palmer says I got it screaming hot, but I normally like to get my steel probably 200 degrees close to forge welding heat, like that. Now, as you see, I'm working my elbow because I'm not really trying to put a lot of work into the steel. Now I worked, pretty sure I worked the back a while ago. Now I'm gonna try to work all the way around. Now, at this point in time, if you just want a nice flat snake, you can lay it down flat and work the curves in there. I want that right there. So, light scroll on anything, I'm gonna start at the tip.
You do something funny?
Now, this is a swacket stick. A swacket stick, it could be any,
Stick?
a swacket.
Schwack?
That's patent pending too. Probably did, I ain't gonna lie. I just like I like the handle and like it square. That way I can whack it.
They're like a beanie stick for somebody to get whooped on.
Now, like doing this with a scrolling, I'm gonna have it flat with the body, come over here to the corner. I'm gonna start whacking it with this. Now I could use the hammer, I really could, but this doesn't put marks on my steel. And because this is a nice coil and all that. Now if you have a blade, a knife, or anything like that, and you want to put a curve in it, you don't want to put marks in it, get you a swacket stick. Put the tip up like that. Now I'm going to heat up this portion here and start working the curve around. Oh, getting old sucks, don't it?
Yeah. But I guess it's better than the alternative.
I guess. You just want to start feeding the baby. Bring it around. Get that curve in there. First time I heard the term feeding the baby is when I took one of Palmer's classes, and he's got a tire hammer and press there, and basically you start feeding it in where whatever the steel you're working, as the hammer's whacking it or pressing it, It's just called feeding the baby, just taking bites out of it. Again, we want to make sure our belly's one way. So when we start whacking it, we're not twisting it. Now you can possibly still don't twist it, and that's okay if you do. Now we got a little bit of opening right there because it pinched it. But we can take it to this horn here and close it back up. I don't have to get that hot. Ain't gonna bend like that. We're gonna try to heat that section between where his head starts raising. Right here, we're gonna heat this section up and we're bending up in the vise. Remove the vise, eyeball it. I'm gonna cheat with the hammer.
And it was hard to move.
Hmm?
You do an hour and a half for that one, or
You put that one in if you want to. That's nicer and cleaner.
let the railroad stock not through it?
Those, yes. Those, no.
Thank you, sir.
I'm not gonna lie, a flat snake's a lot easier to do than the coil snake, because the coil snake takes a lot of finagling. Because you're constantly trying to bend it up and get it, and then gotta have it sit evenly where it's balanced. I have no idea how I'm gonna get that piece right.
Yes, and text.
There we go. Try to get this belly out of him. I don't think I'm going to be able to because it's in a weird spot. I might be able to. Close enough. Hey, Tab. Tab. Tab!
What?
I said your name. Come here. I need a striker.
You need a hammer.
You want Hulk smash?
No.
Oh, smash!
Hit. 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 Hit.
Oh, smash!
Hit. Hit.
Oh, needs a smashing.
Thanks, sir.
Good.
For now. I want to take the head and fold them back on itself.
Kill it.
Sure.
How much do those things sell for? Like,
The Cobras, I've sold them for $50. Granted, they look a lot better than this one I'm making right now. That like the one up there. I know, that's what it feels like. But that one right there, I've sold similar to ones like that for $50. And I just ate through it. This one's been spinning lovely.
I'm blaming the file.
You're blaming the file? I'm glad you're blaming the file. I'm blaming myself.
I'm blaming the file.
We'll say he's going in the shop with Disney music
He does a lot better with some Britney Spears blaring. I'm gonna believe
Kill that snake.
I know, right? Well, unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to get this one done, but basically, I just bend it backwards, and there you go. You have it right
Now
there.
you just killed it. It
I
won't
know.
work anymore.
Well, you go ahead and do the iron of the hat.
Go ahead and bend it.
Oh, he's on fire.
If y'all want, stay tuned. After iron the hat, I'll do the Fredericks cross railroad spike. Give y'all a break. All right, Fredericks. Cross railroad spike. Most of the prep work on our Fredericks cross railroad spike is actually done beforehand. You're basically going to make 3 cuts. This goes quick and fast. What we're going to do is we're going to take it, put it in the vise, and we're going to pinch down on one of the legs, and we're going to just pull up. And once you do that, you have a hot cut. Where's the hot cut on this? It's down here. What you can do is, again, get it lined up, just kind of help spread it. And you start bringing out the cross.
Do you do anything to the spots where you cut them? I mean, or does it dough your
What?
does it dough the blade pretty quick, or does it still just like anything else on your board game?
It doesn't really dull the blade that bad.
I was just wondering if
Rule 5.
a little bit harder if they would.
Now we got a little bit of a wonkiness to it. Go over to our vise, straighten it out as needed.
What's up, guys?
Yo, welcome. Just stay back.
Now, that's basically it. At this point in time, you can texture it how you want. I like the ball peen texture, taking a ball peen and just rat-a-tatting it all through there. Now, to get the main work of a Fredericks cross is done beforehand. You basically want to go up and cut into it with a bandsaw blade, then cut a relief cut right there. I don't really measure. I use my fingers when it comes to this. I basically find whatever this is right here, half, and I put a line there, and I cut all the way up to where it's at half, and I come to the other side, and I cut whatever the width of the railroad spike is. So these 2 lines right here cross. Then most of the work is done afterwards. You can pass that around. You can go either way. Now, just for the sake of doing it, I'm going to go ahead and texture this. And if you want to, I'll demonstrate doing this all over again in case you missed it. It's real quick, real fast. To do a Fredericks cross or railroad spike, there are 2 different ways I've seen them done. This way, and I guess the more common way is where you split it from end to end. I do both ways. I brought enough, that. There's some mathematical formula to it. I normally just do 2/3 up.
If you're a math nerd like me, if you go back and watch our November when I did that.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I basically did a square stop on the wall there, but that's your measurements. If you want to do it, it's that, what they call golden rule. If you Paul Darren Milton on Instagram with it for people to go and who it is.
I do 1/3 up.
Yeah, but when you need to roll here, going around.
Alright, we'll take the here, ball peen side, and just kind of give it some texture. You can flatten it out or do whatever you want to right here. It's not no wrong way of doing this.
Like I said, I've got a whole row of
I got some railroad spike tongs if you want 'em.
I do too, but I didn't bring mine. Did you bring yours? Did you bring yours?
Yeah.
I give her a link. We either big man need to so it's
I grabbed everything out of my bucket except the railroad spike tongs. Well, it's have scratching my brain, but I don't have one. Thanks, Long. Make my life a little easier.
But if you're trying to draw this out.
I'm tired, boss. And that is weird swinging that angle.
Stand up.
It will. I just gotta work it.
Yay!
This is my favorite version of the railroad spike cross, just because you can still see the cross and it's stand up as a display kind of piece. You can flatten it, you can bevel it. There's 100 different ways you can probably make this. Now, I'm not a fan of making these. Only reason I say that is because my wife made it a tradition a long time ago that I make these when a person dies. Because it kind of became a tradition that my wife set up a long time ago. So this is probably the first one I've made that a person has not died in probably 5 years. But I found it's really a nice thing for people to learn or something like that. But my wife, we had someone pass away. My wife said, "Can you make one of those crosses for me?" I said, "Sure." So we normally give it to the mourning person, but normally you can wire wheel it up. It's a little crooked right here. Wire wheel it up and clear coat it with some gloss paint, and it looks really nice. It looks kind of like the Cobra in a way, how it's shiny and all. You can wire beeswax it or something like that. Yeah, it looks real nice once you wire wheel it up and shiny. If you got time, I'll do that now or not. It's fine. I can go ahead and finish this one up, or we can do another cross. Up to y'all. We can do the other style Fredericks cross, and that's basically where we split. We don't really have the base anymore. We just have it kind of up here. What we use is the head of the road spike as a arm. That's probably not. Yeah, it'll stay. So we'll go ahead and knock that out real quick. Doesn't take long to do these. Most of the prep work is in the cutting. I wouldn't touch that. Just FYI, it's hot. Most of your prep work is actually just in the cutting portion. It takes probably 4 or 5 heats once you get it down to do a cross. Alright, we're going to take our hot cut here, or just a chisel in general, put it right over where the cut was made, spread it, doesn't take much, go to the other side here, it may be too cold on that side, yeah, there we go, get both sides going, take it to the end of the anvil, take the other end of the anvil. Alright. We got it Donald ducking now. Put it back in there. After we get that whacked, we remove our hot cut so we don't cut our hand on this. That's just now we're going to complete the split. Take our hammer, go straight down the middle. Ow, that pinched me. Go to the other side, flat part of the hammer. Now, at this point in time, like I said, I normally just eyeball everything and do it. Now, if you look at it, it's not very symmetrical. I normally will come in at this point in time and cut it. Cut whatever I need off to make it symmetrical. That's just how I normally do it. You can follow the mathematical formula if you'd like. No wrong way of doing it. I'm gonna cut that one off. Pull our hot cut back out. what I'm doing is I'm finding that hit where I just found. Now whack, feel that groove still in there. Now you don't want to cut all the way through it, because you'll send metal flying across the shop, and you can also dull your hot cut. With a little bit of experience, you kind of know when it's about to break off. Come to the back side, bend, done. At this point in time, you can do whatever you want. You can shine it all up, but that's another version of the Fredericks cross. Not my favorite version. I prefer this one more. Didn't make it all the way in, but hey.
All right, thank you, Kurt. Appreciate it, man.